Go read your Holy Quran of Mecca. Man knows not by being told. Don't take my word for it. Go read in there and see what contracts God has made with the believers. See what the contracts are. Do charity. He says, he asks you really a lot of things, but they're really simple things. He says in a multitude of ways. He says, believe, which is faith, have faith, do righteous deeds. So belief is based on knowledge. And they talk about that in Islam. There's two levels of belief. One, it might be belief based on you don't have knowledge. Then Allah gives you a book. Hey, you might not have known a lot about me, but you knew there was a God. Now I'm gonna give you a book so you know my rules and my regulations and what my contracts are. Go study my book. So there's blind faith, and then there's faith based on knowledge. Sometimes for myself, I started with blind faith. Now that I've run, it's like, oh, now I got faith based on knowledge. Now it makes more sense. Now I'm more aware. Now it's just not me hoping and guessing that God is gonna do this. Now I was like, nah, I know for sure He said this and that, and I'm moving according to that. So have faith. The next part of that, and this goes back to Surah Asr, he said, those who believe work deeds of righteousness. So it's twofold. You got to believe, you have to work deeds of righteousness, and then you just got to be patient and constant. The biggest signal of your change and growth, of your elevation in your station, is when you start looking at things like, this ain't no obstacle. This is gonna make me become, this is gonna make me find solutions. So when your mentality, not saying you didn't have that mentality before, but when it becomes so apparent, like you looking for the problems now, not because you somebody who want to complain about them, because you looking for ways to improve. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not complacent. You're not gonna allow yourself to become complacent. Even if things are good, you're gonna look to ways to be better, more efficient, more stable, more whatever the case may be. So to me that shows a raise in one's station and a change in one's heart and an improvement in one's overall ability to handle things, because Allah talks about that in the Quran, that He doesn't become like, you can't frustrate me. Basically what a God is saying, like, I got plans and ain't nothing y'all can do about it. And when we start to talk like that, it just shows like that connection with Allah again, because now it's like, you ain't gonna frustrate me. You know what I'm saying? If you say I'm looking at obstacles and I'm just gonna get better, you basically say I'm patient, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, and you're not gonna frustrate what I'm gonna get done. Or in another sense, not saying what I'm gonna get done, you're not gonna frustrate what God has planned for me. See, one of the things God says, He has 6 articles of faith. You get what I'm saying? Belief in Him, belief in His books, belief in His angels, belief in the messengers, and belief in the qadr or power, which is also decree or destiny. And that's what I'm saying. When you start to have that, like, ain't nothing gonna stop this momentum of what God got in store for me. And it's also serenity. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alhamdulillah. And that sounds like submission to the will of God. You know what I'm saying? You submit, like, oh, okay. In the circle 7, it talks about, what does vanity do? It blindeth the heart of man from himself. And then it talks about why is it, and it explains why, right? And what it says is, why is the vain not content? Or is the heart of the vain content? It says no, because his cares go outside of his being. So when you talk about things you control, you can't control nothing but how we talk about your character, your demeanor, and the real. You ain't even control, because it talks about in Circle 7, the result of an impulse or the result of a situation that makes you do certain things. So you're not even controlling these situations. How many situations have happened and you have to react? Not saying you're being reactionary, but you have to do things because the situations call for actions to be done. You get what I'm saying? So only thing you can do is how you react to these situations. That's really the test. Are you going to have faith in God and be constant? You know what I'm saying? Or are you going to go, like you say, are you going to start to lean on your own understanding? Ooh, I know too many times back before it is, that somehow, I need to go get a little quick. Every time I went and got a quick little job, it was never the answer. Every time I went and did that little move, I thought that was that little shortcut, it never was a shortcut. It really took me 3 months to get out that situation. Sometimes 2 years to get out that situation. Sometimes more than that, you know what I'm saying? So when your cares get outside your being, you're not going to be content because you can't control anything outside your being. So just, reiterating that point about serenity and what we can be in control of and how we can, offer gratitude in these situations. Something I had to figure out and learn and still learning is sometimes it's hard to offer gratitude when you don't like the situation that you're in. So how do you do that? How does one offer gratitude when you're unhappy? And that becomes the key. You know what I'm saying? Because happiness, we know feelings are, they're ever changing. So how do you offer gratitude when you don't like your surroundings, or when you feel like you're trapped in your surroundings, or when you want something different? how does one offer gratitude? I think the key to that is first to become patient. And in that patience, you will find things to be thankful for. So if you're struggling with maybe you don't like your surroundings, look to be patient and be like, okay, if this is the situation I'm in, like you said, how can I benefit from this situation? We've seen people do that from jail to any situation they've been in. So you find patience, and in that patience, if you don't like your surroundings, in finding patience, you'll find the key to gratitude. Then once you find the key to gratitude, you no longer are in the cares of the world. And that's what our prophet, going back to the ones, he wants to get us out of the cares of the world and build on that solid rock of foundation. What is that solid rock of foundation? Our national grand sheet talked about on the national call is your character. So based on good character, you'll become patient, which will make you grateful. And once you reach a state of where you're grateful for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the impartial, whatever it may be, you're out of the cares of the world because you're always in a state of patience and gratitude, which is a self-looping circle. Nothing else is able to enter that. I'm patient and I'm grateful. A short story, and then I'll turn it over from the Holy Quran of Mecca. Jacob was the father of Yusuf. And if you're familiar with the story, or Joseph, the king of dreams, when Joseph's brothers betrayed him, when they used to come back to Jacob, they would tell, and Jacob said, it's better for me to be patient because I know what you don't know. So he was always, even when, Joseph, they told him Joseph got killed by a wolf or this and this happened. And he was always more patient because he knew that God is always, like serenity. I think he was just patient, and that offers gratitude to Allah. So patience, one, is an act of gratitude. And then once you've been patient for long enough, you will find things to be grateful for, because rushing is just mischief management. When you rushing, you're just encouraging. It says two things make for people to be wrongdoers. Or being angry and rushing. So patience gets you out of that, and then gratefulness gets you away from anger. So if you can practice patience when you're unhappy, you'll find gratitude. And you can offer gratitude at all times, you'll find patience. So sometimes we see people, right, on the other loop of things, they get everything they want and they're not able to be patient and they're not able to be grateful. And that's when people, for lack of a better term, their heart become a black hole. No matter what they get, these people have all the money. They got 78 Maybachs, you know what I'm saying? They got 4 mansions, they got 89 chains. And how is you not happy? Noble Ali talked about that in the Circle 7. He said, if God gave you everything you wanted, would happiness dwell in thy gates? And we see this with so-called celebrities. They get everything they want. Does happiness dwell with them? No. So clearly happiness isn't in the things. Happiness is in how you perceive and how your character is that solid rock of foundation. So I just wanted to end it with that if you are unhappy and you aren't, try to be patient. And patience, I'll read this really quick because I want to make sure I'm describing what I mean by patience, because these virtues, these words, we say them, easy to say, be patient. But what do I mean by patience? And this is from a book that I love. This book. It's a discourse on patience, and I've read this a couple times. I just want to read it again because to me it's always the answer, especially how he describes patience. I'm gonna read first. He says the common understanding of patience, and this is not the patience I'm talking about. This patience he's talking about enduring. So just to get a clear understanding. Normally, patience is defined as tolerance of unpleasant circumstances. This definition, the way it is, to a larger extent, is intermingled with ambiguities or vagueness, justifications, opposing statements, and conflicts. For an impressed and vacacious society steeped in corruption and decadence, patience as defined above will become the biggest tool and pattern for oppressors, corruptors, for maintaining the status quo by keeping that society in a state of backwardness. When a poor and backwards nation exposed to all kinds of problems and miseries, or oppressed masses crushed under brute oppression, or societies faced with moral corruption, poverty, and human suffering, or any individual group tapped in a cesspool of misfortune, calamities, are told to be patient, the first result will be the taking of that bitter and fatal dose, i.e. to suffer with and not to overthrow the existing state of oppression. Not only will they not mobilize themselves to overthrow the existing undesirable state of oppression, but on the contrary, keeping in mind the supposed reward for remaining indifferent and naive, they will feel happy and content to the extent that they will regard such behavior as tantamount to accomplishing a grand victory. So he's saying if you oppressed and people tell you to be patient and you have the wrong ideas about patience, you'll think suffering is a victory. Oh, I'm so happy I can suffer through this. Alhamdulillah. It is obvious that the prevalence of such a mentality in that society up to a large extent will be to the advantage of the class of exploiters and oppressors, and further detriment of the deprived and the oppressed masses. Unfortunately, this wrong interpretation, together with its disastrous results, presently constitutes the sorry state of affairs in Islamic societies. Any other interpretation for free and unprejudiced minds is quite logical and acceptable. But for those accustomed to this false interpretation, even serious endeavors and fruitful results with detailed studies of the verses of the Quran and narrations about patience are conducted, and grief and surprise for this deviation becomes relatively intense. So he's saying you'll just endure and think you've done something great by just going through things and not fighting. So this is what he says about patience. But the meaning of patience are interpreted on the lights of clear and explicit divine verses of the Quran and the Imams. This is what we'll come to. The above interpretation transformed patience into a lever capable of removing with ease the heaviest obstacles and solving the biggest problems with 100% positive results. Thus, for an unfortunate society, patience is the key to prosperity and blessings. Once again, if you become patient in the active way, which in our holy book, in our Circle 7, is called constancy, diligent. And in the gospel and in the Bible, it says the diligent hand will bear rule. That's talking about being patient and active and doing the right thing. So thus, for the unfortunate society, patience is the key to prosperity, blessings, while on the other hand, it will be a strong obstacle to be reckoned with for troublemakers and mischief mongers. In order to appreciate exactly the true meanings of patience and its relevant fields, the best method is to resort to the Holy Quran and authentic traditions. A thorough investigation will enable us to reach a clear and decisive judgment. More than 70 verses of the Holy Quran deal with patience, glorifying the term and praising those possessing the virtue. The Holy Quran in detail summarizes patience. So this is what he says. So he's just giving you a discourse about how to find patience in the Quran, because we was talking about it. Now this is what he means. On the basis of traditions, patience is defined as the resistance shown by man on the road towards perfection against mischief, corruption, and degradation, which can be compared to the example of a mountaineer who, in order to reach the peak, has to face internal as well as external obstacles or barriers. The internal obstacles are within himself, while the external ones are outside beyond his control, what we were just talking about. Some things are outside of your control, some things are in your control. Your character is what you can rely on, and the things that are outside of your control are those external obstacles. Each of them in their own ways interfere with his climbing efforts. Internal obstacles such as love for comfort, as well as fear, despair, and different types of similar passions try to stop him while the feeling of indecisiveness in many forms tries to kill his determination for climbing. On the other hand, external barriers such as stones, rocks, wolves, thieves, thorns retard or slow his progress. Someone who is faced with these kinds of barriers will have the options to either drop his journey on the road, which is full of dangers and hardships, or to go ahead by offering resistance against them and overcoming each barrier with his power of determination. The second case is defined as patience. So he defines patience as your willpower to go through things and keep on the right course. Alhamdulillah. So that's the act when I'm talking about patience. That's the patience I'm talking about. No matter the situation, no matter the circumstances, that you are active in doing the right thing. And you talk about internal, right? That's to rock your character. But he's talking about the external obstacles. And think about the things he said: the love for comfort, the love for these things, despair, whoopie whoop whoop. What are those? Those are emotions with what blinds you. We're talking about your heart. And the nearest place to meet Allah is in the heart. These are the things that get in your heart and make your heart hard and don't make you move. Oh, fear, despair, you know what I'm saying? Love of comfort, love of ease. So these are things that are negative when we're talking about active resistance, also known as patience, also known as being diligent, also known as being constant, steadfast. So that's the patience we're shooting for, being that we're coming from being in an oppressed society and a marginalized society. We're not shooting for the type of patience where we're just enduring sorrows and thinking, like he said, once we make it through the sorrows, we didn't do anything to try to change our circumstances, but once we made it through 20 years of sorrow, we think of it, as a victory. And also it talks about that also in the Circle 7 when Jesus was teaching the people about how to obtain eternal happiness. They said, we just want to, work and, we pray for the day to go to Buddha city of the dead. He's talking about just suffering through life, right? Those people are saying, we just want to suffer through life till the day we die and work our jobs. That's not patience. So that's when Jesus told him, he said, his heart was filled with sorrow for people. He said, your thoughts about heaven, brother man, are wrong. See, heaven when he's describing heaven, what is he talking about? He's talking about Allah's virtues, patience, constancy, woo. Your thoughts about these things are incorrect. How you think about patience is wrong. How you thinking about love is wrong. So I just wanted to tie those things into the circle 7 and how patience in these things, we have to learn how to think about them in the way Allah describes them, in a way that's beneficial, and not in the way our oppressors describe patience, right? Because if you look into the so-called black community, what if they've been telling us, just be patient? Hey, yeah, just make it through these terrible, that's the kind of patience they want for us. Just suffer a little bit more. Eventually we'll accept y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just 20 more years of suffering. Y'all been suffering long enough. What's 20 more years of pain? No. We had enough of it. You know what I'm saying? Active patience. Alhamdulillah. So with that, I yield the floor. And if there's anything else on that, but I hope that, really, because we was talking about patience, and it's something for me, just aside. When I got to these points and I was saying these words, like, I want to be patient, I started to understand. I didn't know what that was. I'm saying the words, but I don't know how to actively do it. So I'm happy that my grand sheik, when he moved to gave me all the, and I started reading his words, and then I started getting the explanations of what patience really. I said, oh, because I had the wrong idea of me and brother Mike Jail was talking about it. What I used to think about patience was endurance. If I just, the same thing he was just talking, if I just suffer through these things long enough, and that's the wrong type of patience. So, and actually, it's not even patience at all, because you're not even doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're just suffering, and think that because you're suffering, it's some type of nobility in the way you're suffering, maybe silently. You heard about that, suffer in silence. You know what I'm saying? Just suffer through it. No. We're actively overthrowing the oppression of despair, of grief, of sorrow. And we have the right thing. We're not taking that ideology of we just gonna suffer and work until we die. That's what Jesus was telling us in chapter 12 about the people, how to obtain eternal happiness. This ain't the key for us, and that's not how we live in our life. It said man is toiling up on the soil doing things he's seen other men do, but he hasn't delved it. The miner knows this hidden secrets underneath. So you got to dig into your inner self and find that rock. You know what I'm saying? That's what the miner told him. There's secrets underneath you, and there's joys underneath that. The real ideas of patience, the real ideas of love and truth and peace and freedom and justice. You got to dig deep in those things. So with that, I yield the floor. I see your hand, Brother Leon. You got the floor more, and then after that, inshallah, we'll try to lower the beam down a bit. My bad, Red Sheep. Well, I was supposed to leave on my head.
Islam, my question is the rock is the rock of salvation the same as the rock of understanding?
Alhamdulillah, that's what he builds it on. You know what I'm saying? He said he builds it on the rock of salvation. Yes, it's correct understanding. You get what I'm saying? Having the correct understanding of things. That's what we just talked about, right? We have this idea of patience, and we've just been suffering. And then the correct understanding of patience is active resistance, or constancy, or the determination of willpower. So also, it ties back and it says, the gnosis of the gnosis of either good or bad, in truth, it talk about is man's understanding. So what you understand is either going to lead you down a good path, or it's going to lead you down the wrong path. You get what I'm saying? Because people are basing, inshallah, God willing, they things off a reason. So if your reason is, I just got to endure, you're going to do those kind of actions. But if your understanding of patience is active resistance, you're going to do a whole different type of actions. So you're right. Understanding is the rock which man builds on. But what if you building, right? And it talks about this in the circle 7. What if you building your house on sand? That's the wrong understanding. So you think it's a rock, but it's sand. So we have to make sure once we start building, because if you building your house on sand and the waves come and they take your house away, but you built your house on that level of understanding because you thought it was the rock of salvation. So
wouldn't understanding. Sorry for cutting you off.
But no, go ahead, Mo.
Wouldn't understanding, and we learn on the first key of the chapter of unity are the treasures of Allah. So how are we? Like, were you saying? Are we within? Then that would be the fool who. I got you. So you're talking about the fool who goes inside his mind and picks up the pebbles for the
surface. Alhamdulillah, the fool peeks into the shallow streams of his mind. He sees pebbles at the bottom. He brings them up and show them at pearls. And at the applause of the brethren, he delighteth himself. See, his understanding ain't based on the right things. He obstinate. And you see, the wise man doubteth often. See, what we just talked about, we had this idea of patience. Then we started doubting. Wait a minute, we still suffering. Hold on, something ain't right. See, we had to change our mind. Oh, wait a minute, that ain't the right kind of patience. We want active patience. So just trying to show how the wise man and the fool, see, the fool would have just started building his house on suffering, boom, boom, boom. And now when the wave come and the tide's changing, it's taking his house away, he like, what's going on? See, the wise man, he said, oh no, maybe I shouldn't build my house right there. Or maybe I should still learn some more before I start building. You get what I'm saying? He's able to change his mind. So yes, that level of understanding, alhamdulillah, is based on knowledge. As we kind of started the class with, you start with blind faith in God. Then once you get more understanding of God, your faith changed. Now your faith is based on reason. God, it talks about that in the circle 7. It says, all good proceedeth from reason. How could something be just if it doesn't proceed from reason? See, these people, we just have these ideas on our mind about what patience is. Who told you that's what patience is? Suffering. Who gave you this ideology? What did you study to come up with this? It's just man knows not by being told. You know what I'm saying? So it's that kind of degree. So having a good understanding of things. Go ahead, Moore. I see your hand.
And that's why Noble Joe Ali said in a chapter that the Europeans created Christianity for their earthly salvation. So they got, and then we're taking Islam for our earthly and divine salvation. So he understanding that we're building our house. Those who built their house just for this earthly salvation is building your everlasting house on sand. And if you build your house for your divine and earthly salvation, you build it with Allah.
Right? And yeah, also to that, right? Noble Drawley talked about, they love the 10 Commandments, the rulers and the rich, because they can oppress the poor. Did he just say that? Did we just read that in Patience? He said, oh yeah, they oppressing y'all with them. They love these principles and they teach you these principles from a bad perspective. Endure what you're going through. Just be patient, y'all. They not trying to teach you a real version of patience. Going back to that chapter when Jesus said, your thoughts are wrong, brother man. Your thoughts on heaven. And heaven is Allah's virtues and what you build your own heaven out of. Because Allah says in the Holy Quran that basically you wrong your own soul. So either you're gonna build a heaven for yourself or you building hell for yourself. So these people, they have mistaught the teachings, right? And that's what Jesus was telling them. Oh no, that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's the wrong idea about patience. And so we see the same thing here now. Either based on what you know, you're gonna have a good understanding, make good decisions, or bad understanding and make negative decisions. But the thing is, you're accountable for those decisions. So we want to make sure that we build our rock, we get in the hammer of truth, right? If you know you building on sand, once you start hammering that sand, like maybe I shouldn't build my house. This stuff is wavering, it's unstable. But if you're on that solid rock, you're like, oh yeah, this stable ground. I could put. So they didn't hammer at those things. You could see that they just started building. They didn't really try to see if the foundation was secure. They was too worried about going straight up. Like, I'm building right here. I don't care. Check to make sure that foundation's secure. Hammer at it. Make it, see, if you hammer at something and it's not built to be hammered on, what's it gonna do? It's gonna bend, it's gonna break, it's gonna shatter. So then you should know, I shouldn't build on this. So that's showing you that they didn't put in no work on those ideas, because man knows not by being told. They just accepted some things they was told and built their house on it. And then, I hope that answered the questions.
Islam, you did.